All right, let's get right into it. Inside every single one of your cells, there's this delivery system that is just absolutely essential for you to be alive. But here's the catch. For decades, scientists were totally baffled because, on paper, it looked like it shouldn't work at all. Today, we're going to solve a molecular mystery and uncover the beautifully awkward engine that's powering you right now.
So I want you to picture one of your cells. And don't picture some empty bag of goo. No. Think of it like a bustling city, just crammed with buildings, factories, and traffic. It is a chaotic, incredibly crowded place. And to get anything done in that city, to deliver supplies or take out the trash, you need a super organized logistics network.
So, in this chaotic little city inside you, how does anything actually get from point A to point B? Well, like any good city, it all starts with some solid infrastructure.
See, the cell builds its very own highway system. It's made out of these protein filaments called microtubules. You can just imagine these tracks crisscrossing all over the place, and they provide the routes for all the internal cargo to travel on. Without these highways, the cell would just grind to a complete halt.
But, highways are just empty roads if you don't have any vehicles on them. So let's meet the main delivery truck that travels these cellular roads.
This little machine right here is cytoplasmic dynein. It's what's known as a molecular motor. It's a tiny protein machine that literally walks along the microtubule highways, hauling critical cargo from the edges of the cell back toward the center. It's the main engine for all of this inbound traffic, and it is absolutely crucial.
Okay, but this is where our story gets really weird. This is where the mystery begins. Because when scientists took a closer look at how dynein actually gets switched on, they found something that was completely backward.
You see, dynein is incredibly powerful, but it's not very smart. It can't find its cargo, and it can't get moving all by itself. To actually do its job, it has to team up, it has to assemble a crew of helper proteins.
So to get the job done, dynein puts together this little crew. First up, you've got a big protein complex called dynactin. Think of it as the activator, the thing that helps dynein actually stay on the highway. And then you've got something called a cargo adapter, in this case, a protein called BICD2. This is basically the hitch on the truck. It physically connects the dynein motor to whatever package it's supposed to be carrying.
So, the logic here seems pretty simple, doesn't it? You take dynein, the motor, you add dynactin, the activator, and you hook it all up with BICD2, the cargo adapter. This whole team should be a supercharged, transport-ready machine, ready to go! Nope, wrong. And this is the paradox that completely stumped researchers for years. When they assembled that complete three-part complex in a lab, it was dead in the water. As this research shows, the fully formed team couldn't grab onto the highway and it couldn't grab onto the cargo. Instead of turning the motor on, getting the whole team together seemed to shut it down completely. So, how does anything ever get moved?
And if you think that's confusing, believe me, the mystery only got deeper from there. It turns out the whole situation is even more complicated.
Just when you think it can't get any weirder, researchers found another essential player, a protein called LIS1. And it turns out, without LIS1, the whole transport process just doesn't happen, period. So now we've got a core team that's inactive on its own, but somehow needs a fourth member just to have a chance of working. It's a real head-scratcher.
And on top of all that, even when dynein is moving, it's surprisingly clumsy. If you compare it to another motor protein, kinesin, which walks just so steadily and efficiently along the microtubules, dynein looks like a drunken sailor. It's wobbly, it's awkward, and it frequently takes steps in the completely wrong direction. Get this, nearly 1 out of every 5 steps that dynein takes is backwards. Just think about that for a second. How could a delivery system that is so essential for the cell be built around an engine that's apparently switched off when it's fully assembled and literally walks backward 20% of the time? For a really long time, this just made absolutely no sense. But thanks to some incredible new imaging techniques that let us watch single molecules at work, we finally have the answer. And honestly, it is way more elegant than anyone could have guessed. Here's the key. The cell doesn't rely on one single perfectly built machine that makes one long continuous trip. No. Instead, long-distance transport is actually the result of adding up tons of tiny, random, and very brief bursts of movement. Okay, so here's how it really goes down. The cargo, which is already linked up with dynactin and the adapter, is just sitting there on the microtubule highway, basically waiting. Then a free-floating dynein motor, just drifting through the cell, randomly bumps into it. For just a split second, that full, active complex is formed. It immediately takes a short little run forward, and then,
poof, the dining motor just falls right off. The cargo stops again, just waiting for the next random dining to come along and repeat the whole process.
And when I say a split second, I am not kidding. On average, a single dining motor stays attached to that cargo complex for just over half a second. That is it. A quick grab, a short pull, and then it lets go.
So, what looked like a total paradox at first, this inactive complex in this clumsy motor, is actually a stunningly sophisticated system. So let's talk about why this apparent messiness is really a feature, not a bug.
You know, this discovery really forces us to see the cell in a whole new light. It's not some rigid clockwork machine with perfect parts. It's this dynamic, living system that brilliantly uses randomness and these brief encounters to its advantage. This grab-and-go model is incredibly flexible. A single dynein motor isn't locked into one huge journey with one piece of cargo. Instead, it can just float around, giving a little push to a vesicle over here, a little tug on a mitochondrion over there. It means a small number of motors can service a huge number of different cargoes, making the whole transport network incredibly efficient. The messiness? That's where the magic is.
So this awkward engine, it turns out, is actually a master of efficiency through imperfection. And that just leaves us with a fascinating final thought. If the most fundamental processes of life are built not on rigid perfection, but on this kind of managed chaos and random interactions, well, maybe we need to completely rethink what we even mean when we talk about elegant design in biology.